Joel Sanchez with Crucified Life Ministries, and today we're talking about the portion Chayei. So let's get right into the teaching today. This portion can be found in Genesis chapter 23, verse 1, all the way to chapter 25, verse 18. And this is the story of Abraham sends Eliezer, his servant, to find a wife for Isaac. We also find in this portion, this is when we're given the death of Sarah, and also we're also given, I believe, the death of Abraham as well. And so anyway, and we're given some genealogy, and Ishmael is mentioned again. But what I really would like to focus on in this portion is something that a lot of people don't really pay attention to, or just kind of read over because of the other important aspects in this portion. So anyway, in Genesis chapter 23, verse 3 through 20, it reads this way. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Het, saying, I am a stranger and sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Het answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my Lord, thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Het. And he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat me to Ephron, the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For as much money as it is worth, he shall give it to me for a possession of a burying place amongst you. And Ephraim dwelt among the children of Het, and Ephraim the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Het, even of all that went out in the gate of the city, saying, Nay, my Lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that is therein I give it to thee. In the presence of the sons of my people give it I thee, bury the dead. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land, and he spake unto Ephraim in the audience of the people of the land, saying, But if thou wilt give it, I pray thee, hear me, I will give thee money for the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephraim answered Abraham, saying unto him, My Lord, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephraim, and Abraham weighed to Ephraim the silver which he had named in the audience of the sons of Het, 400 shekels of silver, current money, with the merchant. And the field of Ephraim was with Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field, and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the borders round about, were made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Het, before all that went in at the gate of the city. And after this Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave in the field of Machpelah before Mamre, the same as Hebron in the land of Canaan. And the field and the cave that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for a possession of a burying place for the sons of Het. So I know that was a lot of reading, but basically what we're looking at here is this is the premise for the children of Israel. This is their land deed that allows them to have the land of Israel today. I know there's a lot of controversy over that, but just this one document that we have right here, this is the contract that gives Israel the right to be in the land, and it's their land because of what Abraham did here when he purchased the land from Ephraim. So we mentioned that in verse 18, that unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Het before all that went in at the gate of the city. Now, in ancient Near Eastern times, all legal and business transactions took place at the gate of the city. That's where the elders or the leaders, if you will, the judges or whatever you want to call them, those who made laws and made the decisions of the city, that's where they sat. If you remember a few portions back when we were reading about Lot, remember where Lot was at? He was at the gate of the city when the strangers came in to visit them. So at the gate of the city is also in ancient Near East where many of the proclamations of kings would be made. Like I said, this is where law was decreed and written in stone. So when Abraham bought this cave and this piece of land, he was in essence, the witness was in front of not only the sons of Ephraim, but actually the witness was put forth in front of all of the people that lived there in the city. And this was very important because when Abraham bought this piece of land and that went with the cave as well, he was actually renouncing his ties to Padan Aram and embracing the new life that Yah had promised him in the promised land of Canaan, or in the promised land of Israel. So the reason why Abraham, most people would say, man, this guy's wanting to gift it to you, he's wanting to give it to you, then why don't you just take it, as a gift? Yeah, I'll take it, you can save some money. The issue is in ancient Near Eastern times, they had a system, they had a way of doing things. And if Abraham would have received this land as a gift, then when Ephraim died, Ephron's heirs could have come back and actually re-inherited or taken possession of the land from Abraham as their proper inheritance. So, with Abraham being a stranger, this shows you and tells you the authority and the kind of name and the clout and the honor that Abraham had. We talked about honor and shame a few portions back. We talked about, patron-client. We talked about the honor and shame status and vice versa. But for Abraham to be a stranger, in those times, people just didn't come in and sell land to strangers or give it to strangers. And when we read in the text, they said, you are a prince among us. This lets you know that they are honoring Abraham's status. And this is because, in my opinion, not just because of who Abraham is, but who Abraham serves, the God of all creation. And so them selling this land to him meant a big deal. But Abraham, when he bought it, when he purchased it, he sealed that the land would remain in not only his possession, but his descendants' possession for the future and many years to come. So this also, when he secured this land, this also put in motion or enabled some more of the promises that Yahweh had given to Abraham to be fulfilled. And so we've all been taught in Sunday school, that Abraham was the father of our faith, and that is true. Hebrews 11 gives us the hall of faith, and it talks about all of the forefathers, the patriarchs, and all of these people and prophets and David and all of this stuff. And but what I find interesting is that even though he was the father of our faith, Abraham didn't actually see 100% of all of the promises of Yah come to pass in his life. After Isaac, I'm of the opinion that after Isaac, Abraham knew that he knew that Yah would fulfill all of the promises that he had promised to Abraham. But also, if we go back to Genesis chapter 15, verses 13 through 16, we can find there another promise that kind of, to me, solidified why Abraham had faith in Yahweh. Basically, the promise that Yahweh gave to Abraham was, you don't have anything to worry about, Abraham. I'm going to do what I do as long as you do what you do, or what I've asked you to do. So let's look at this. In Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 through 16, it says, "And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. And they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go," here's the promise, "and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full." So here we see why Abraham had this great hope and had this great faith. It was due to the promises that Yah had given him in his life. And so, in other words, this is what I want to finish with, but focus on today in this video. And I pray that this will be a blessing to you. Because a lot of times we get caught up in what Yahweh has promised us, but our flesh gets in the way because our timing is not his timing. And we end up trying to do things to speed up the timing, and just as Abraham did, we end up producing Ishmaels in our lives. And those Ishmaels come back to haunt us. And so, one way that I see that we can stop, or we can prevent from causing Ishmaels in our lives, is to do something very simple. Is to only be focused on what Yahweh has done and is doing in our lives. Okay? Because when we begin to focus on what he has not done, it opens the door for accusation. And when the door is open for accusation, it actually leads us into the room of offense that opens up other rooms and opens up the whole house to bitterness. So what do I mean by that? Well, An accusation against Yahweh is something like this. It's not that we, shake our fist in his face, but we begin to feel and to think and to maybe even say, in prayer time, Yahweh, you promised me this, but you're not doing what you told me you would do. That's an accusation. And if we allow that accusation to, we continue to ponder and to think about it and to dwell on it, then that accusation turns to offense. And then that offense, if it continued to be thought about and dwelled on and meditated upon, it turns to bitterness. And if the accusation, offense, and bitterness is not dealt with, in the end, it usually ends up where people walk away from Yahweh and walk away from the covenant. And that's not a good thing. And it's all based solely because, basically it's based on flesh. Because Yahweh, you're not doing this in my time, so therefore I'm not going to serve you anymore. But when we use our faith on our flesh by believing what Yahweh has promised us, just like Abraham did, and we focus on what he has done, what he has fulfilled in our lives, and what he is fulfilling in our lives, it generates unshakable hope. And this hope is something that we can have and hold on to and look forward to. And in the times of trials and tribulations, and in times where it looks like Yahweh's not coming through, we can feed off of that hope. We can use that hope to gain strength from, to continue to move forward, believing through faith, or by faith, what Yahweh has promised us that he will fulfill. If I do my part, Yahweh will do his part. So the issue is, if he's fulfilled promises that he's given us in the past, why do you think he would not fulfill promises that he hasn't fulfilled yet in our lives? In other words, if he's done it in the past, and we continue being faithful, obedient, having a faith that is alive and producing good works and producing good fruit for his kingdom, then he's going to do what he promised us. We just have to have faith and use that faith on our flesh to generate hope, and then draw strength and use that hope to continue being the fuel, if you will, that enables the vehicle, enables us to go forward and continue moving forward, doing good and great things for his kingdom and bringing glory and honor to our patron God, Yahweh, the creator of the universe. I'm Joel Sanchez with Crucified Life Ministries. Shalom.